Hello, Maverick traders, and welcome out to your daily currency recap. This is Ankit here, and I'll be breaking down today's market price action. It's the Wednesday, May the 7th. Let's get into it. As always, we'll be taking a look at broader market analysis, take a look at what's going on in these currency baskets, take a look at the news, and then most importantly, take a look at the possible setups ahead. Let's get into it.
Do you want to be a professional trader? Maverick Currencies is the oldest US-based Forex and crypto prop trading company that will pay you for trading with our capital. Trade our capital and keep 70 to 80% of the profits. We are looking for traders just like you that are hardworking and motivated. Click the apply link on the top right of this video to see if you have what it takes. That link takes you to a 4-minute video that explains the trader position available, and you read a list of FAQs that answer pretty much all the basic questions you have at this point. After watching the video and reading the FAQs, if you're interested, fill out an application, then you'll watch the full-length recruiting video, and then schedule an interview with one of our traders. Are you our next trader?
So jumping into the market analysis, I'm just going to jump right into the headlines and the numbers. And today's market price action was kind of mixed. Yesterday evening, we got some news on possible development on US-China, tariffs. But again, all these news seems to be providing a short-term relief, but then doesn't go anywhere. So we just saw that move in the evening yesterday, and then things kind of fizzled out. And we had the FOMC today. No real surprises from there either. They maintained that wait-and-see approach. So I'm not surprised. I think that's really where we are in the markets. The economic numbers are not really showing signs of slowdown, but there's definitely a lot of concern. And I think that's really where you're getting that big of a pull and tug in the markets. Now, after the announcement, the dollar actually gained. So that's a little bit sign for relief on a rally in the dollar. We'll see if that's going to have some legs to it. But let's just take a look at the numbers today. In the numbers today, you can see that it was a decent day in the market, especially if you were looking at the overnight this morning where, the Aussie and the Kiwi strengthened off of that off that news on the US-China, but then they totally faded away. And then we had the Swiss franc, which actually dropped on that news and then regained. So a bit of a reversals that we got in the markets in the last 24 hours. And I think this is where, focusing on velocity definitely is the way to play here, as we're not really seeing a broader general trends to some of these movements here. So we have the Swiss franc being strong. Look at the dollar today. Nice, up 0.79%. So we're going to take a look at dollar here. Now, yen, on the other hand, did weaken 0.28%. So I think in the next 24 hours, what I'm going to focus primarily on is, dollar, even the Swiss franc against the Aussie and the Kiwi. Now, outside of the currency market, the broader markets, the equity markets did manage to close up 0.43%, where world stock index were actually flat. Cryptos are down, golds were down, and the oil was down. So it's like I said, it's a mixed price action today. Now, in the currency and the crypto markets, you can see Bitcoin slight little pullback, more of a deeper correction in the Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin. But again, we primarily focus on Bitcoin here. And even Ethereum, that those ones seems to be, doing okay. Now, if you take a look at the market outlook here, I know we have the score is a +2 here again, which means that we are no longer in this market environment where we were just making lower high and lower low. We had that, massive sort of a bottom here, pull back, and then we had a bit of a rally. So, the market seems to be less under pressure that it was like a month ago. And we all remember all the volatility that we saw in the markets. But at the same time, it's not really screaming sort of a buy. I mean, it's just it is showing smaller percentage moves on the day-to-day basis. So again, just telling me that even though we're seeing a rally, you still got to be a little bit cautious here as far as the intensity of that move. Everybody kind of wanting to get this kind of move, but things kind of go in cycles. And right now we're getting some smaller movements here. Now, when we take a look at this the schedule here, we kind of look for where's the next possible catalyst that we can find to get that boost of that movement. So we already have FOMC out of the way. Again, they held rates. We had the Kiwi yesterday. I mean, take a look at the unemployment report. That was unemployment rate dropped down to 5.1%, and it did not cause a further strength in the Kiwi. So I think that's a bit of a negative sign. When something should go up and it shouldn't, or it doesn't, I think that's just a bit of a negative sign. So we've got to take a look at Kiwi here. So outside of that, tomorrow we have the rate statement from Bank of England, and look at that. They're looking to cut rates by 25 basis points. So, I mean, I'm not really seeing a big sort of, a weakness going into it. And a lot of time this is priced in. The big sort of a reaction that you can get is out of the report and the statement. So this is the one, again, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning Eastern time. Especially if you're trading the pound, this is something to kind of watch out for a potential move. Now, outside of that, we have the unemployment claims. Again, we haven't, look at that. We're expecting a drop down in the number as well. And then we have some numbers on Friday. So you can see that this is a bit of a environment where, you just have to kind of look at where's the potential move, but mostly take a look at what the broader sentiment is. So let's just go and take a look at currency baskets. And as we jump into the currency baskets, what we're going to do is take a look at, okay, where is the trend score? And then based on that, we can kind of figure out where the markets are going. So you can see that after this big sort of a run, we got a nice little drop over here. So look at the environment that we're seeing here. We are seeing a couple of days up, a couple of days down. We got a couple of days up, so we are still below the 20 to 50 moving average there. So I think at this point the yen looks like a similar setup that it was over here. Now, on the dollar, on the other hand, I mean, dollar, remember, had a big move down off of this, but then after that, it really kind of fizzled out. It just kind of going sideways. So today's movement, we got right up against that 20 moving average. Again, we have not broken above it. So let me go on a 4-hour chart. And on a 4-hour chart, look at that. I think this is still up against the resistance. If this can clears up this level overnight, I think dollar could be a viable candidate to look at long. But remember, like, if you take a look at overall, in the last 3 weeks, dollar long hasn't been the greatest play. I mean, it has been the greatest play, like, in the shorter term, but then those moves fizzles out. So until, again, this is the level I'm kind of drawing over here. You can put some alerts here. If it really starts to break out some of those levels, I think dollar could be decent long as well. Now, here we are with the Swiss franc. I mean, same thing. You can see that this thing was gone sideways as well. It tests a support level, and now look at that. It's right up against that resistance. So there could be a potential breakout here on that as well. But again, right now, we are just pausing right up against that resistance. So every time you're dealing with these levels, these arrangement conditions, you want to just take that with a bit of a grain of salt here and say, well, this is a level. This is what I think we should happen. But until I get a confirmation, maybe this is going to pull back before it runs higher. So this again goes on the watch list here. Now here's the euro. You can see that euro has been more weaker than the stronger. Again, comparing that to the Swiss franc, the euro definitely looks a lot better. The Swiss franc looks a lot better than the euro. So I'm kind of putting the euro on the shelf here. Now the British pound. Remember, tomorrow we have the Bank of England rate statement, and this is what I was talking about. You don't really have a trend in place. There's between the 20 and the 50 moving average on this 4-hour velocity chart. But again, this is the daily chart. You can see that it's not a screaming buy or sell. So this is why I'm not really super excited for pound tomorrow. I think there's better things to trade out there. Now, here we are with the CAD, and you can see the CAD is the same thing. Last few days has been kind of back and forth. A lot of shadows over here. I think if I compare this CAD price action to the dollar, I think dollar kind of looks a little bit better. Now, let me go into the weakness, because here we are seeing a bit of a rollover. This is the Aussie and this is the Kiwi. I want to start with the daily chart just to show where we are. I mean, you can see that this is the Kiwi chart. Look at how nicely we are, testing that resistance. And this is why I always like to pay more close attention to these price levels, because, this is very predictable that we are rejecting that level over and over. Now, if I go on a 4-hour chart, you can see that this is kind of broken below here. So if this continues to break below, I think we could see more continuation on the downside in the Kiwi here. Maybe see a little bit pause, a little bit rally, but I think it's worth taking a look at a shot on the downside in the Kiwi here. While we have the resistance in place. Same thing goes with the Aussie. I mean, Aussie, you can see that on the daily chart, it's stalling right at this 50 to moving average. So it's kind of stuck in between that, but it's showing sign of reversals here. So at this point, I think it looks like it wants to go lower than it wants to go higher. So again, looking at the velocity scores, you can see where things are. Dollar is looking better. Swiss franc is looking a little better. CAD, it's kind of tagging along with the dollar. Now, on the weekend side, we are seeing pound and the Aussie and the Kiwi looks the weakest. Now, pound is right there in a little -1. Yen is down to a little -1. I think we could see, pound more in the middle here till tomorrow. Perhaps take a look at the yen and see how it does react, and euro as a +1. So, the opportunity I think is really going to be in the Aussie and the Kiwi against the dollar and the Swiss franc. So let's just go in and take a look at the charts and see if we can find a setup there. So let's just start with the Aussie dollar. Remember, dollar is still a tricky one, but we want to be taking a look and see if there's any play here. I'm just going to switch this chart into a velocity. So on a velocity chart, you can see that this thing, tested that resistance for quite some time, and it's hitting right at the support area. So this is what we call, we got a breakout here, prior resistance to now support. If this continues to give up this level, I think there's a decent short there. Aussie dollar. This is again now looking at this chart on daily. You can see that the exponential moving average is right over there. So again, not ready to pull the trigger yet, but if you start to break certain levels, so on a 4-hour chart, I would say, it's already kind of close below that level. But, if we see a continuation below that 64.20, that's too close. So let's just do a round number over here. If it continues to break below that, I think it's going to be a decent short there. Now, can I take a look at the same short against the Swiss franc? Let's see, Aussie Swiss franc. It's the same thing. You can see that this had a bit of a rally. This is still, after a big fall, this is still considered a big, a bear rally. On a 4-hour chart, you can see that this thing also broke out, fell right below it. So I think any bear rallies or any basis to short side, I think I do like here on these Aussie Swiss franc and the Kiwi, and the Aussie dollar. Let's take a look at the Kiwi. So here we are with the Kiwi dollar, 4-hour chart. Same thing. We got a double top right here. Failed to break out, and it's just failing below it. So this is where I think we can even use, the current levels and use this exponential moving average, our 13-day EMA, to use our stop. If it continues to fall, we want to just keep guiding with the stop here. Let's go with the Kiwi dollar. Here's another one. Sorry, Kiwi Swiss franc. That's another one that I want to take a look at. And here with the Kiwi Swiss franc, kind of looking very similar here. So just remember that none of these are screaming buy or sells, but we're just looking at risk to reward. Where can we find an opportunity? I think that's really where we can see some opportunity. Here we are, Kiwi Swiss franc, supported by this parabolic SAR. If it breaks below that, we can see a continuation there. So again, do you like the risk to reward? But markets are still kind of working its way out. They're not a screaming buy. They're not a screaming sell. You're getting some nice opportunities in between. I think that's where we want to be. Focus on the velocity charts. I think that will guide you with some decent trades here. Outside of that, let's just take a look at dollar against the yen. That's another one I wanted to see. So dollar against the yen, you can see this thing is kind of gone sideways here. We've got a nice 1, 2, 3-day pullback. A nice little, bullish engulfing candle here. I don't mind taking a look at dollar against the yen to the upside. We got the resistance right here about 144. If it breaks above that, I think it has a decent chance to kind of resume some of that. You can see that this was the top, this is the bottom, kind of bottomed out a little bit here. It's slowly kind of making a little recovery here. So I think this is where maybe dollar stands a little bit of chance to rally after, being so weak for the last 3 weeks. Here, the dollar CAD, similar thing. Take a look at this currency, dollar CAD. How active it was for the first part of this year and where we are right now. And same thing, it's gone kind of stagnant a little bit, but we're getting a little bit of boost here. The question is that it's all kind of lies on if there is a continuation from this move today. So that's something we're going to watch out for the next 24 hours. We're going to set up our alerts. We're going to set up those price levels. And if we start to break above those price levels, I think then dollar seems to be a decent play, especially against the Aussie and the Kiwi or against even the yen. I think could be a decent play there. Again, that's a game plan here. Again, I'm not really seeing strong trends. So remember, for those trend traders want to trade on the daily chart, you need that strong trend in place to really take things. But as you can see in a lot of charts, that things have kind of either gone sideways or are slowly drifting higher or lower. So this is where you need to sort of change that time frame, change that strategy. I think we can kind of focus on velocity in the shorter term. Again, we're going to take a look at dollar Swiss franc against the Kiwi and the Aussie, and also even take a look at dollar yen as well. That's the game plan here for the next 24 hours. We'll come back again, reevaluate the markets. Till then, happy trading.